How are you say? Testing. Can you hear me? Awesome. How was your New Year's holiday? Pretty good. Got to relax a little bit. So that was really fun. Yeah. You're not really there. It's oh. Very arguably. Testing, testing. Can you hear me slightly better now? Say that again. Can you hear me slightly better now? One sec. Let's. Okay, testing. I'm using like my computer phone. So that's why it's a little garbly. Yeah. Give me one sec. Why don't I can call you on a different phone in one sec. Okay. So, I can, yeah, hang it on this line and I'll call you on, I'll do a Facebook call on my phone. Hello. Hello, can you hear me better now? Okay, I'm using my phone now rather than my computer. So, yeah, it's okay. So tell me what's going on. Okay, so this company that I'm talking to, they called me and I had a job interview. Well, then they called me back for a second interview, but I said no, I wanted to start my own business. And then they sent me a message and saying, hey, well, would you be one of our clients? Could we be one of your clients? So I said, okay, let's not. Well, I just got off the phone with them a little while ago. And it's not straightforward. So it's not like, okay, we want you as our bookkeeper to do X, X, and X or whatever, you know? So what they're talking about is, I guess, more of a controller position, but they have a controller. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So I'm not sure. So they have 1, 5, 6 companies, plus he does the accounting work for his daughter's company. And he has some personal stuff that he would want me to do. Because he said he has trusts and stuff like that. So really what he's wanting me to do is more of a, like, look over everything, make sure it's okay. And then if something happens, like they just had an issue going on that the controller had to step in and do a bunch of work for, which if I was on the books with them and I was working for them, I would have done it. Okay. So it's like more of a high level stuff, not necessarily the day-to-day bookkeeping. Yeah, it sounds like you're like a backup controller almost. Yeah. And then he's got like getting ready to expand, and they're going to have people in Brazil. Okay. They have a wind farm that they built out there, so it's like a solar company. And I'm kind of at a loss as what to tell them that I would charge them. Oh, because you can't plug it directly into the pricing calculator. Yeah. So, so let me take a step back and let me give you a couple different scenarios that you could do. Um, and I'll use it from a couple different students because that is a slightly unique kind of position because like sometimes if it was more of like straight work, then you knew how much work you would be doing like on a daily consistent basis, you could charge hourly, right? But when it comes to this, where it's like
sometimes you might have more hours than others. Sometimes your job scope might be different than others. It's a little bit of like a weird hybrid.
Ramp up this new work they're doing in Brazil. He's talking about me hiring people to help out and get it rolling and get this new ERP system up, and like having other people working for me too.
Okay.
So I'm like, this is going to be a big job.
Yeah.
You know,
Where are they located?
people working for him in California. I would be the first person on the East Coast.
Okay.
So he's got people in Brazil working for him. And he does a lot of outsourcing for his stuff. So he doesn't have a lot of employees per se. It's a lot of outsourcing and a lot of 1099 employees.
Okay. And then let me ask you this question. So like what is the revenue amount of the company? Is it like 10 million, 20 million, 50 million? Okay. Okay. Because that would also influence kind of how you're going to do it. Because like with the amount of hours that you think that this guy might need from you, does this sound like a 40-hour per week job?
But in the next 4 to 6 months, I would say probably
Okay.
most likely.
And he wants you to hire, and he wants you to either hire a staff or maybe you have your own staff, like as an outside contractor. Oh, cool. So this is also in alignment with what we are talking about with the kind of like the CPA firm, how if we can maybe charge an hourly rate of, a little bit higher than what we want when we start outsourcing it. That's going to do two things. So the first thing it's going to do for you is it's going to allow that if some weeks there's not as much work, then you won't get paid as much. But as that workload starts speeding up and starts getting bigger and bigger and bigger, when you decide to hire your employee on, we can still pocket a lot of that spread. So here's another scenario that happened with one of our students. So Audrey. So Audrey has like a weird hybrid kind of relationship with this one. She's like a CPA firm, and that lady basically pays Audrey a salary of $40,000 per year, no matter how many hours she works, as long as all the work gets done. So what that essentially does is Audrey's like, so for the first 15 days of the month, she's like blasting super, super hard, but then the remaining like 15 days, she does nothing for them.
Yeah.
So but even though she gets a salary, she's still a 1099. She's not a W-2. It's like, so it's just a very, very kind of weird hybrid relationship. Um, so you had the second meeting and like, how did you guys leave it off? Did the person say, okay, so when can you start or? Okay.
It also goes super easy on pricing, I'm sure.
Well, okay. So then have you thought about like what kind of proposal you're going to send or what services you think that they need? Okay. Okay. So how about this? Why don't we do this as like a two-part call where you can later on today go back and create your services that you're thinking, and then we can look at it and then we can say, okay, this is either good or bad, or maybe we should add this or think about it differently. Okay. Yeah, because there's like weird kinds of services and it's different services, I need to see it out. I said, since it's like a bunch of different types of services and the amount of time that you can be spending per week is undefined, at least was what I'm hearing, then I'd want to kind of see it on paper in order to kind of give you more feedback. Let me ask you this question. Are you opposed to going hourly with that? Yeah, and the only reason why I asked that is because I'm trying to see like one thing that is really helpful if the scope is very undefined is going in at hourly for like the first like 2, 3 months and tell them that up front that as soon as we get like rolling consistently, we're going to baseline and charge a monthly price going forward. Now, what that does for you is twofold. One, since you're saying like right now, the amount of stuff he has for you to do might not be as large as what it will be 3, 6 months from now. It'll give you like a chance to kind of reconvene, talk about it. And if the work is just starting to ramp up, but it hasn't quite ramped up enough to be a high monthly price, then you can keep going hourly for another 3 months until it starts going really, really hard. And then you can baseline it at like a flat rate at the peak of the work, at the peak of the work output.
Yeah, because because of the new project that's going to be happening and the new the new stuff there, because they've also just started a behavioral care facility. So that's kind of new for them also. So, I mean, I know I'm going to be really busy with them.
Okay.
And I figured up if I were to do 40 hours a week, no, 20 hours a week, 20 hours a week would be about $3,000 if I go by what my last salary was. So I was working this time.
Yeah, so I want to see at least $50, if at all possible, $50 an hour. It's 50 times 20. Always remember 50 per hour is kind of your golden mean if you are trying to hit a 6-figure run rate. So let's say you do 20 hours a week at that $50, it's about $1,000 a week. You multiply it by 4, it's about $4,000 a month.
Hold on, let's see.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's like I said, that's just a start, and then in a couple of months we would reevaluate.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of where I'm at too, because I don't want you to get like locked into a certain rate because we know they're going to expand. And yeah, and plus because like you're
And that's fine.
okay. Yeah,
So, because he is expecting me to have to hire some people down.
yeah. And like a lot of people are afraid to go hourly, but it's like when you're dealing with like a small company and it's like a handful of transactions, doing like a flat rate works well because it's easier to do, 500, 1,000 a month. But when we have like a company that can not only afford to give us 40, 60, 100 hours a week, we're trying to take as many of those hours as possible. And we're trying to, even if it's not our time, we're trying to get as many of those hours as possible, so that we can fill up the total amount of money we can make. And when you charge somebody hourly, they are almost like, oh, that's fair, because they know that you're working or else you're not going to get paid for that specific amount of money. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But and that's kind of why it's a little bit easier for you to start charging that hourly rate, because sometimes they don't even think about how much money it is per month at the end of the day. So it's like it's easier for you to go and charge them $6,000 because you're just adding so much value to the organization versus you just coming out and saying the price is like $6,000 for a flat rate. Cool. Awesome. Yeah. So that's all.
And just reviewing the financials, which could take several hours. And if I'm looking at each company,
Yeah,
because how many companies?
yeah, yeah. So I would almost, yeah, 7 companies in one. So I would almost even go like try and charge like 70 an hour. And then he's probably gonna counter offer saying that's too much money. Um, he might not counter offer. I have a student named Mike, and he charges about 125 an hour. So for some of these small businesses, that's not going to be out of the norm. It's just we want to make sure that at the very least we can hit our 50 per hour. So I would almost even call him up after we've like decided what we're going to go with and what we're going to do, and just say, hey, I think this would be a lot easier since the scope is undefined for me to be able to get in, do as much work as possible, really understand what we're working with. And then over time, we can maybe do a flat rate. He'd be like, oh, that sounds fair. And then you'd be like, yeah, so why don't we go hourly at first? He'd be like, okay, cool. And then you'd be like, well, my hourly is 75 an hour. Say it just totally like unattached to that number. Give a little bit of space from just either hem and haw or I don't know. Don't say anything. In some cases, what might happen is they'll be like, okay, cool. And if you can't do 75, then you can negotiate down in like steps of 15 or $10 per hour. Probably $10 per hour step down would be easier.
Yeah.
So like 75, okay, you can't quite do that. I'd be open to doing about 65 an hour. If he hems and haws at that, you can say 55, but then at the last one, 50 is like the absolute lowest I can go is 50. So that gives you at least 3 chances for him to say yes or to say no.
Okay, that sounds good.
Awesome. All right, cool. Yeah, to be honest, I believe you should do hourly at first.
Okay.
Because you don't know exactly what work it's going to be. Does that kind of make sense, or should I explain it slightly differently?
No, it makes sense. Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, because just the fact that that you're having trouble really identifying like what you're going to be doing exactly, it's almost like you would be shooting in the dark if you try to get a flat rate.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
they might present it as only like mainly a bookkeeping job. You get in there, it's only virtual CFO. Or they might say it's virtual CFO.
Like bookkeeping,
Mhm.
a CFO position.
Yeah. And that's kind of what I'm saying. So it's like it's hard unless you're crystal clear. That's kind of like whenever we use the pricing calculator, we have you look at the scope specifically because we know everything that we're dealing with. Versus with something like this, it sounds very, very dynamic. And it might be like one week you do one thing, the next week you do something else.
That sounds good.
Awesome.
I'll let you know what happens.
All right, cool. And say if he doesn't feel comfortable doing hourly, tell him, okay, cool, I will get back to you with the full proposal. I just want to run that by you first.
No, he's fine with doing it.
Oh, he is. Okay, cool. Yeah, like, because between you and me, man, like, yeah, because between you and me, if you're doing your business full time, going hourly is a little bit easier and a little bit better for you to be able to hit, 100K or whatever. When people want to do a flat rate, it's generally because like they're working a full-time job and they can't devote any hours to it, so they have to do it in their spare time.
Yeah. Well, she doesn't. They start with him on Wednesday,
Nice.
and I go to his office once to twice a week for a couple of hours.
Okay.
And then anything else that I don't get done while I'm there, I'm going in.
Okay.
He was paying his person that he has $4,000 a month.
Mhm.
So when he told me what she was doing, I was like, that sounds like not very much work.
Wow.
And I know there's like some personal stuff that, let's get done that I really couldn't, like he wants me to, or do some stuff with his, making sure that money can return to his daughters. I don't know, not 401k, something, I don't know. But anyway, some personal stuff.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, well, that's not included in my price. But the price came up, it's 2,500 when I put everything in the calculator. I think it's tacked on another 1,000. It's going to do.
Hey, you said yeah? Yeah, I know, that's what I'm saying, like $3,500 a month without even blinking. I know, that's what I'm telling you guys. Yeah. Especially like here's one thing to consider too. If he ever wanted more stuff from you, what we'd probably do there is we would have you subcontract out that work to maybe like what's called an executive assistant. Because those are the guys who are more trained to handle on the personal side. So it's just a thought. I'm not saying to do it or you have to do it. I'm just saying that is an additional way to get revenue or more revenue out of an existing client. Okay.
Yeah, well, that's what I was thinking of doing anyway with this stuff, because it's it's like easy data entry type work. It's not a lot of, it's nothing hard,
Yeah, it's
a little different, but not much.
okay. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. It's like we were talking about last month, where it's like hopefully you got a lot of rest over the Christmas break and stuff. Yeah. Isn't this
Going on.
yeah. So I mean that's kind of why we started. Oh, it did.
My shoulders, the muscles and tendons and nerves in my shoulder need to calm down some more, but other than that, it's all good.
Dude, that's awesome. I'm so grateful to hear that. Nice. Wow. That's a big thing actually.
So,
Yeah. I don't know. All I can say is, Melissa, I think this is your decade.
yeah, I think so.
Like, it doesn't take much for your life to keep changing. It's just, I don't know, it's weird, man. It's like a consistent kind of thing. And once you kind of figure it out, it's just about learning how to manage that time and manage that chaos more. But you're doing it though. Awesome. Coolio. Awesome. You are welcome. It was great speaking to you, and I'll talk to you soon.
All right, talk to you later.
Excellent. Bye. So that's what all this stuff is supposed to sound like. That's what this stuff is supposed to sound like, guys. Per month client Melissa. Oops. She's got 2 new clients. Got for 3,500 per month client. 3,500 per month client, blah blah. And then she got a $4,000 a month client, which is the new guy she's talking to. I was surprised because yeah, the guy wants to go hourly. So shoot, man, sounds pretty good. I'm excited for her to be able to just go do that, man. I'm just trying to shit. Like everybody asks like where all the client wins coming from, and like how do I keep track of all my client wins? Like it's literally like I'll go. Let me pause my share real quick just in case. Yeah, here's people are like, where are you getting all these test the client or whatever. So it's because like every week I'll just like reach out to some of my students and then like, hey, I got three CPA firm meetings this week. I had a few tax clients. That'll be subcontracting out to making a bid off those. I use LinkedIn, blah blah blah. Getting good into the business portion of the conversation, blah blah. Join a networking group, blah blah. Lene, hey, her, ooh, didn't want to put this thing. Next, 2020, wow, I feel bad. Yeah, I remember when she was going through that. My brother got her a new client, and my old CPA firm got me a new client. Right now, I'm at capacity. So she's at full capacity. Recent prices on at least one client. Look for a second employee this year. I'd like to unload the work. I'm currently doing some blah, blah, blah. Awesome. Uh-oh. Very simple, very easy, guys. Doesn't have to take a lot. All that it does is just takes consistent work and just doing the right things, guys. Like, so let me pause my share and go back. Like all this stuff is really simple when you get it moving and when you get it going. It's just you have to learn how to go and get things moving correctly in order for you to be able to go and hit the results that you want. Just keeping track of this, blah blah. But yeah, man, that's it. This is not hard. It's not difficult at all. It's just you put in the work, you join the program, you do exactly what I tell you to do. Like if you ever listen to her like in her student recap interview, she was like she didn't even do half the things that I told her. It's just that the stuff I told her to do was so potent at the time, and for her just style of the way that she just exists, that she always gets in front of clients that have like, you know, 2,000, 3,000, $4,000 a month worth of work and worth of problems. It's very interesting. I'm trying to kind of reverse engineer it because I think she's only had one companies that she's spoken to that needed less than about $1,000 a month worth of work. So we kind of have to start looking at that and just seeing like what is the cause? Because yeah, she's been killing it for a little while. Um, but yeah, that's just kind of how it goes, guys. I'll talk to you soon. I'll hopefully see you inside the next video. I'll see you inside my community, or hopefully I'll talk to you soon. If you want some help, send me a message. Love to help you out. Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing. How do you do that? And